Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. If you're listening into your radio dial and you're hearing this voice, somebody told me on yesterday, hey, you got a radio voice. I said, that's a voice that sounds like I'm hurting. They like the raspiness in my voice. It doesn't hurt, but it does sound really weird to me. Jonathan, my producer, is on the other side. What's up, John? Be in the place to be. What's good?
Hello.
What do you think about my new voice?
I think it's great for radio. I think you're onto something new here.
Hey, I guess I got to swallow a couple frogs every now and then. I'm okay.
Now that cough drop, I will say, this is a small studio. I'm getting a whiff of it over here. Keep it over there.
Well, it's better cough drop than the tuna fish sandwich that I had before, so we had to make a decision. But we also see, if you're watching via social media platform, you see all the way down there with sun coming in through the blinds. Mark Bassett, my co-host. Mark, what's going on down there in sunny Florida?
Not too much. You know what? I'm looking out at the window at the ocean, and I see a pod of dolphins, actually, now that you mention it. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So, Mark, give us the weather forecast.
It's 79, sunny, turquoise blue waters, and I'm hitting the beach after the show.
Yeah. So Mark has none of the issues that we're dealing with here. Here in this area of the country, we were excited. We got teased with some 50-degree weather, then got slapped back to reality with the cold temperatures and possibility of snow. But we're excited to have you all with us. This is Black History Month, and it's so crazy because we have been doing so many things. I haven't had really an opportunity to really share my little known Black history fact. I like to do that before every show that we have here. And so today I'm going to share really briefly a Black history fact that I thought was really interesting. Many of you came to know about Black Wall Street during the 2016 election when President Trump was talking about hosting an event on the commemoration day of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. And so since then, there has been a real conversation and people talking. We didn't even know this existed. But before there was a Black Wall Street in Tulsa, there was another place that was probably just as prominent and as successful, but not as well spoken of. And that place, it's in Durham, North Carolina, and it is called Hayti District, the Hayti District. Hayti district. And it became one of the most powerful Black business hubs in America. It was then dubbed Black Wall Street at that particular time. It's at the center of North Carolina. At the center of this was North Carolina's Mutual Life Insurance Company, which was founded in 1898 by Black entrepreneurs. It went on to become the largest Black-owned insurance company in the world at its time. A financial backbone that funded homes, schools, hospitals, churches, proof that Black communities could build intergenerational wealth without white capital. What made Hayti so extraordinary was that it was Black-owned banks, pharmacies, law firms, newspapers, factories, college-educated Black professionals living and working within that same community. Something that we used to see a lot of growing up in our community. We saw money circulating inside the community neighborhood, strengthening everyone. Unlike Tulsa, Hayti wasn't destroyed by a single violent massacre, but it was dismantled. Urban renewal, highway construction in the mid 20th century cut the community in half, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Businesses were displaced, wealth scattered, and history quietly erased, not by mobs nor headlines, just policy. Tulsa showed us what could happen when buildings and businesses are burned, but Durham showed us the power of the pen through policies when things are undermined. So that was something that I just wanted to share with you all. But there was something really interesting about this. I don't know if you're aware. Both of you probably have no clue. 675 here in Saginaw.
Yeah.
All right. Before 675 existed in the great city of Saginaw, that was the middle of a thriving community, an African-American community that took place here in Saginaw. We saw with this industrial boom and the wages that Generous Motors was paying. I always say Generous Motors. was paying their workers, and they were coming from the South. And actually, what was it called? The Reuben Daniels Project Housing was actually created to house this new emerging folks that were coming in for these new employment opportunities. And in that area, and then all along Potter Street, there was a thriving community of Black-owned businesses and folks owning homes and families and communities and all of the things that we're talking about. I remember growing up as a kid, the doctor that delivered me, I lost his name as soon as I said it, lived in that community, and the insurance man, Mr. Ruffin, lived in that community. And when I-675 came through, this is way before me, but when I-675 came through, it through policy and through the placement of highways, as they were talking about Haiti, it severed right through the center of a very thriving Black community. And this is an example of what many people will talk about, how environmental factors and infrastructure often end up with dissolving communities. And that's just not Black communities, but we see that communities across the country.
And that's exactly what I was thinking as you're saying this. That's a lot of rural communities across the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always say,
one of the most
go ahead.
interesting things, as you know, I've driven across the country twice now to California. And one of the more kind of interesting and eerie things you see as you drive through some of these states, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, are towns that used to be 5, 6, 10,000 people that literally anymore, if you look it up as you're driving through it, there's 50 people in the town. It's just all empty buildings. And it's, on one hand, interesting, on another hand, very sad.
Yeah, I was gonna say to Jonathan, like, many of the issues, and this is fun, this is really fundamental to what we see happening. Many of the issues that Black America has in inner cities, white America has in rural communities.
Yep.
When we talk about shortcomings, when we talk about lack of access, when we talk about lack of opportunity, many of the things that we see happening in urban America surrounding minority communities are the very same things that we see in rural communities.
High drug use, high crime rates,
all of the above.
Poverty, high percentage of people on welfare, unemployment. So
my question would be, why is there such a chasm in how I think the people view one another? And because if our issues are the same, what is the thing that separates us so much? Because there is a huge separation. You talk politics, you talk about the things that really drive and make communities work. There's a huge separation. Why, when our issues, our bread and butter issues, seem to be very much the same?
Well, one thing I think is a difference is there's a difference in kind of perspective, in the sense of, I think white rural America feels like they had something and it's being taken away or has been taken away by whatever policy, government, progressive politics, whatever you want to call it. Whereas I think, Black, and you're better able to speak to this than I am, but
yeah, I was kind of laughing that you were talking on behalf of the white farmer.
They didn't have it. Maybe they had it a little bit. It's been taken away. I'd love to get your perspective, I guess.
No, I'm glad you deferred to me to speak on behalf of the Black people. That would have been kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I kind of chuckled to myself when you start talking about on behalf of the farmers, because I was like, okay, Jonathan, Mark is going to speak on behalf of the farmers.
I was really speaking on the behalf of rural America, which is a lot of farmers. When it's all
I got you. Yeah. What are you going to say, Jonathan?
I think there's also a difference in, I like what Mark had to say, where rural America, there's the good old days when everybody had their family farm and it was passed down generation to generation, and that's kind of been taken away bit by bit. But I think that leads to a difference in how we think these common problems that we have need to be solved. There's two different, or there's more than two,
right?
But there's several different ideas about how does this get solved. Is it on us to solve it? Is it the government needs to intervene and do this? Is it companies and businesses need to be involved in this? I think there's a difference in opinion about how to go about fixing it, and that's where the divide comes in.
Yeah, and I guess the how is super important, but wouldn't it seem more likely that if we have shared interests or issues that we need to address that are very similar, that maybe it would draw us closer together to figure out, like, look, if we're both dealing with this thing, we got to figure out a way to do this. Whether you think it's government, don't let how separate us as much as, the need for what it is that we need.
Let me give you kind of an
Yeah.
example, and I want to know what the other side of this coin is.
Okay, go ahead.
When we talk about access and infrastructure,
Yeah.
especially similar issues, inner city and rural communities, let's talk about fiber internet connection.
Yes.
So much money has been put into connecting rural communities with fiber internet connection. And I think largely these rural communities don't really care. A lot of the people in these communities, it's not like, yes, we finally have this great tool and
We got the internet.
When it's all said and done, how does it really change their quality of life? Other than, okay, maybe they get to use the internet better. So I don't know.
But that kind of investment, if it were put into inner cities, into those places where there are minority groups, would that be the same reaction, or would it be we're getting this great step in access?
Well, I think in terms of, and that's a really good point to make in terms of the difference, because in urban communities, the thing that is very different is that they're close to the things that they see available.
Yeah.
So we can see that over there they have this. We see that this is out there, and we got the internet. So things are visibly present that are possible.
But they're just outside of that
Just
reach.
outside of your reach.
That's interesting.
Whereas in rural communities, I mean, some places they could care less what's happening around in other places of the world. And I think to the point of what you're making, and I'll say that even from a Black perspective, I grew up in a country, in the country. I always tell folks I'm a country boy, which has a lot to do with my value system. I always share with folks that I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican. I'm probably just left of center. But growing up as a kid, I would go down to Maringouin, Louisiana, which is right on the outside of Baton Rouge. And my grandparents, they lived in the country. I mean, this is country like the both of you have probably never seen country, but farming and having country, it was a part of how we grew up. But it was like country where wild boars and hogs were like running around kind of thing. But when I think about the quality of life that they experienced, they enjoyed it. So I can understand how sometimes ignorance is bliss. The fact that we don't have I wish sometimes that the internet never hit certain parts of the country because we don't want to see the crazy stuff that you want to put on it. So I think that it's interesting. I think, Jonathan, you make a great point. How we get to the answers of those shared problems often is the things that will divide us from actually getting the answers that we need.
And I wonder, when it comes to investment like this, if it's taken into account how the reaction of the community is going to be. Would we be better served putting this investment into those places where this service, I'm using fiber internet, but there's all sorts of things, whether it's food deserts around the area, and there's all sorts of issues that need addressing that are shared. But for fiber internet, is there some idea about, I bet if there was a food club like the Saginaw Food Club that's going up, I bet if they put that out in a rural community, it would similarly be, who cares? Like that's
what
nice.
What do you think the percent? Since you went there, what do you think the perception is? What are you hearing? Because you are news, so you hear things. What are the things that you're hearing concerning that concept?
I'll give you. I'm right now in my current position. I'm press release news, so I'm hearing what the companies want me to hear in that regard.
Okay.
I'm not out in the community as much as I used to be.
Okay.
But from its conception, it sounded like a really good idea to have that food. I remember when I was younger, my family consistently went to a food co-op that was for seminary students and things like that. And I have fond memories of that. And it's this shared cooperative, that's what it is, that I think I really like the structure of, especially in today's commodified world.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to reserve. I'm not going to speak negatively about anything because I really, I've heard about it,
Yeah.
seen some things concerning it. So I'm going to show restraint. How about that? For one time, America, I'm going to show some restraint and be resolved. But I will say this: it goes back to the fiber optics in rural communities. We could care less about your fiber optics. We got other issues to deal with. Those types of situations don't occur when we embrace the community in terms of solving those issues. And I think that that's one of the things that is kind of a concern with the co-op that we talked about. It becomes another situation in which we're going to solve your issues and solve your problems, but we didn't really bring you in. We're not solving it with you. We're solving it for you. And oftentimes you're giving us something that we don't really want.
And that's where the reaction comes from.
Yeah.
So what? That's not what we asked for.
Okay. All right.
I'm not saying that for this specific thing.
Right.
But that's this. It illustrates the similarity in the reaction.
No, it's the same.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the same. Well, today I want to have some real conversations on race, and some of this is going to be, I think, a little bit light humored. Other things may be a bit more intensive, but I think that I started laughing on some of these things when I was looking at this. But a real conversation on race, and I really want us to focus on how do we begin to have these conversations without, it becoming explosive and everyone being, pennies in a bunch and just ready to run out of the room. And so
this is a great point.
Go ahead.
Point in time to show, Kareem, and say out loud, that's what this show is about. Is
Yeah.
modeling those conversations.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes our conversations become heated, but I think another form of that modeling is that we come back next week.
Yep.
And we start all over again. And, and I'll say this again, since we're saying this and we're going down this pathway, that, we made a commitment to each other that, we would always kind of stand in for each other, that we would listen to each other, that we would have each other's back, and we would, talk out whatever differences that we have. And I think that foundation is important for any major conversation if we're really going to be honest about things. So I think that's important. But I want to talk about like just different childhood experiences growing up that we've had that may be like black versus white, things that you consider that you have done, or maybe things that you've seen, black folks, and you're like, what in the world is this? Like, I've never known that before. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all one thing that black folks do, and y'all, this is the black community will understand what I'm talking about. How many of y'all, what do you use Vaseline for? What do you guys use Vaseline for?
I don't use it.
You don't use Vaseline. Okay.
No.
Why not, Mark?
I don't need it. I've never needed it.
Oh, you need it, Mark. You just don't know you need it. But Jonathan, have you ever used Vaseline?
It's for hydrating dry skin. Like I get nosebleeds a lot, or I used to, especially as a kid, and that's what I would use it for.
Okay. So you put it on your nose.
Moisturizing, yeah.
Okay. So as a black kid growing up, if you go back and you look at all of my school pictures from 8th grade on down, I shine like a beam of sunlight. Because every black mother will tell the kids, go in there and put some Vaseline on your face because they don't want you looking ashy, right?
You don't want to be ashy.
So all of us, we would go to school with these beaming, shining faces because that is a part of the culture that we do growing up. And I could imagine the white kids were like, why are they so shiny? Are you shiny because you were eating chicken? No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. But because we would, and it was just normal. All of my friends came to school looking the same way. Now, what was funny about this is that just probably 2 weeks, I have a friend out there. She swears by Vaseline. She says that's why she stays looking young, because her skin is protected and hydrated and all of this stuff. And I saw her and she was shining. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, somebody needs to let her know that this ain't 8th grade picture day anymore. But what are things that you think that other people, when they look at those things that you do, or your community may do, your race may do, your ethnicity may do, that they may find interesting or different?
Are you talking about me as a white guy? What do I think I might do that black people find interesting?
Yeah, Mark, you as a white guy.
Oh, wow.
Pool party.
I don't know. I always start thinking about the Dave Chappelle show because he would do that sort of thing. I don't have I'm just trying to think. I don't have a great answer.
I have one for you, Mark, that I would love.
Sure. I mean, go ahead.
All right. Like, what black folks never understand about my white brothers and sisters is, like, right now, it's about 40 degrees outside.
A little colder than that.
A little colder than that. but there was sun like last week, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of my white friends, when we got through the winter and we would have that first day of sunshine,
Oh yeah,
they went to shorts and no socks and like, what do you call them? Birkenstocks and flip-flops and
flip flops.
and Black America just does not understand like what is going on. What's up with that, people?
We like summer.
We like the sun. We're a little on the white side, so we need to get sun whenever we can. So.
Now, Mark, I want to ask you this question because you've lived in Hawaii for so long.
I did.
Why don't you get cold?
I don't know. My wife Mary does. I think I run hot, and I would actually do that at Notre Dame. The first day it was above freezing, I'd put on shorts, an aloha shirt, and flip flops, and go to class all day, and be comfortable. You know, and my body I'll just speak for myself personally, but it just acclimates to the weather. And as you know, I've come into the show and it's like 35 degrees, and I'll be in, just a sweater or something. And that's it. No coat, no anything. So
I'll do shorts and a sweatshirt once it hits 50.
No, that's still too cold, man.
Yeah.
You know, I look at this and I always say, like they would say on, I think it was like Eddie Murphy TV show, look, I'm a tropical person. I need some heat. If it is 50 degrees, it's 50 degrees. It's halfway away from 100. So we need to get up into the, before I'm putting on shorts, it's got to be like, we were always told that you have a string of 80 days before you put on shorts, because otherwise you catch a cold. So we're going to come back. We're going to have more of these conversations. Some of them are tongue in cheek, but some of them are a little bit more demonstrative of how we learn about the things that we understand based upon where we come from. I want you guys to stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more United Shades of Gray.
You're listening to United Shades of Gray on WSGW.
This is Kareem. We're back with more United Shades of Gray. Conversations of Race on America. And today we're just having these real conversations about things that we understand, things that we don't understand, the differences, the things that we have alike. And I want us to jump down to this question. What are some things that you wished other races understood or other ethnicities understood about your race or ethnicity?
That's another. I mean, I wish you'd given these questions
Mark,
ahead.
y'all don't think about these things.
I never think about things that way, to be honest with you. I mean, let's be honest. I've grown up in an extremely white world. Yeah, I grew up in Hawaii, which is about as big of a melting pot as you can be. But I never started thinking about, well, what do we as white people do that other people might find interesting or ask why we do it? I've just never thought about things that way.
Mark, it's funny. Sharice asked a question, one of our listeners. She said she went to a parochial school, and this is so funny because so did I. And she was wondering why all of the white kids would go up north and all the black kids would go down south.
Oh, well, that's another great question. You're talking about in Michigan?
Yeah, in Michigan, like all of my friends went up north. Like all of my white friends went up north during whatever time.
And would be out.
Yes, that's the white thing to do, is to go up to a lake, get in the water. They want to be in the water. I mean, white people like to be in the water, I guess.
Mark,
you don't
that's
have a lot
the
of
white
black
thing to
swimmers
do.
in the Olympics. So I don't know. You tell me. So
Mark said that's the white thing to do.
It is. And I've heard that from you, Kareem. Why are you going camping? What's the appeal?
I agree with that. I don't believe in camping either. So.
I like hiking.
I'm going to tell you this. I was exposed. Like some white friends exposed me to camping. So I understand why it's cool. But holidays and weekends, like if you live here in Michigan, especially here in Michigan, I don't know what about other places in the Midwest, but on the weekends, like going north on I-75.
Crazy. I refuse to do it, but I don't want to deal with it. Yeah.
You cannot do it, right? And then coming back is crazy and insane. But as kids growing up, all of my friends went up north. And whenever we would go on vacation, we would always go down south.
By down south, what do you mean? Where would you go?
Where's South, Mark? You're in Florida, like South.
Okay, you don't mean Southern Michigan. You mean
I don't mean Florida. I mean Alabama,
Louisiana, Alabama.
Indiana.
I mean, were your families down there? You were going to see families. A lot of people, a lot of the African American community in the Midwest have their roots in the Deep South.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. I was like, listen, we ran from the South. Why are we going back? This makes no sense to me. Tell great grandma that it's time for her to move to the North, where freedom reigns. You go down in those places and things are still kind of dicey in those spaces. Even today, there are certain places in the South that, you still you want to be careful about what time in the evening you get back home in. But I always thought that was funny. Now, another thing is the food selection. What's considered a regular meal in a white household?
A protein, so like chicken,
A protein,
a steak, pork, vegetable and a starch. That's how I think about it. So,
Mark, you actually think of it that way?
I do, yeah.
Maybe for older people, but I'm thinking like growing up. The other day, I was hit with a craving for mac and cheese and hot dogs.
Oh, I had that the other night, Jonathan. That's amazing.
Yep, but like we made a nicer version of it, not the Kraft mac and cheese and Kogel's. But
Jonathan, that was a struggle meal. I mean, that's a delicatessen,
comfort
man.
food.
Yes,
yeah,
that's a delicacy. When you look at that, when we were kids. Now, did y'all eat bologna?
Oh yeah,
I like to fry bologna.
Mark, where are you coming from?
Fried bologna for breakfast sometimes. Thick sliced bologna.
Hawaii, that's what it is.
Like Spam.
Yeah, Hawaii. Okay, so now we're talking about those comfort foods that we just like. You were talking about a protein. I was like, if we had some protein sometime, that was considered a real benefit because you might have beans and fat back or salt pork or some greens and one piece of chicken.
Casseroles. That's a white thing that
Man.
I don't think.
I don't think that I ever know at our dinners when we start getting older, because some of them start, getting adventurous. We might have a breakfast casserole.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No,
it's
not a bad. No, because it is a very weird thing. Growing up, for any kind of holiday, any kind of meal, we didn't have tuna casserole. That would be it. Other than that,
what about like a green bean casserole at Thanksgiving?
You're not bringing it to the house. You're gonna lose your ticket to the cookout.
I don't like it myself, but it's a common white side dish for Thanksgiving.
And what is stuffing?
It's bread, basically.
Yeah, it's basically bread.
Like cornbread?
No, like bread.
Yeah, like regular bread. You can put I like to mix different types of bread.
Maybe some onion
there.
And some other.
Then a lot of them will put like sausage in the stuffing, onion.
I don't like
really. It's my favorite thing at Thanksgiving is a good stuffing, dark meat on the turkey.
Wait a minute, Mark. So stuffing is you take bread and in theory you put some other ingredients in it, some spices. I mean, but how do you get it to have any
you break it up.
You shove it into the turkey cavity and while you cook it, theoretically.
It's like a slice of bread. It's like broken up pieces of bread.
Yeah. So do you dry the bread out?
No.
It's moist like regular?
And then you end up putting it in the oven or you stuff it in the turkey, one of the two, kind of a thing. And bake it in essence.
Okay. Well, y'all call it.
So you've never had stuffing, Kareem?
I've had dressing, never had stuffing.
Well, dressing is probably the same thing as stuffing, basically.
Dressing happens. We don't use bread for not that kind of bread. You got to use cornbread.
That sounds
good. Well, I love cornbread.
Oh, I don't eat cornbread, but I love dressing. Right.
Okay.
And then there's a question, and all my family are they're at home asking. Please ask about the raisins in the potato salad. Like, what's up with that?
I don't do that. I don't like raisins.
No, I don't like potato salad in general.
I love a good potato salad, but I don't want raisins in. I've never seen raisins in a potato salad.
Well,
what white people are your relatives hanging out with?
They're in the general vicinity. They're not allowed to eat. So my white friends can always come to our house, but they can't cook. Don't bring no dish. Just come and eat, enjoy, and they love the food. And you know what? You find it that's interesting that to me, I feel that most African Americans are all about their white friends. Come on over and eat. Get some of this macaroni and cheese and this dressing and this candied yams. Like, come on over and eat. But we ain't trying to come over and eat at your house. Have you ever noticed that? Do you get the sense of that? You do?
100%. I've been invited over to Black friends' houses, and there was just kind of this understanding that you can invite us, but we're not coming over to your house.
That's a sad
So
fact.
I should consider it an honor you've come over to our house for a potluck, no less.
Yeah, Mark. I came over. You're my friend because I took the risk of coming over for a potluck. Now I have to tell you about the. I'm not going to tell you about the flan. We
covered the flan enough on this show.
before.
Yeah.
But those are the examples and the reasons why Black folks don't eat. But I'm going to tell you, Mark, something. I'm going to make a shameful admission about that opportunity. When I got there, and everyone was sitting there eating, the people that came, I think it was Frank and my mom and Katrina, the kids. We were sitting there, and we had this look, kind of like, okay, who's going to try it first? Who's going to try it first? But Mark, you did a pretty good job. The meat was cooked all the way through, no red stuff, spilling over. And the baked beans, was the baked beans that Mary
baked beans. Mary makes the baked beans and the corn pudding.
Mary got the baked beans. She got that recipe from somebody who had a little bit of soul somewhere.
She was born I think she got it from my mom, who was born and raised in Louisville. So
okay. So because I was like, wait, these baked beans, and they had like some meat in it. I said, we can rock.
Yeah, some chunky bacon, thick slab bacon, brown sugar, mustard, onions.
But those are the things. And so as I was looking at that, very interesting things, Black people just do not do potlucks. And
yeah, I just never dawned on me that everybody didn't do potlucks.
Do you feel the same way? You thought everyone did potlucks?
Never thought about it.
Really?
No.
But
I just assumed everyone did. I didn't think about it either, but I was a stunner when you go like, well, Black people don't do potlucks. Like,
well, let me make a correction to that.
Okay.
Black people don't do potlucks at work. Black folks aren't doing potlucks, with a group of friends.
Yeah.
But Black folks will do potlucks within their family.
What about?
Okay.
And we'll do potlucks at the church. But let me explain to you. This is the caveat.
You've got assignments.
You got.
You've explained this before.
You've got your meal.
Yep.
Don't get fancy. Don't do anything else. No, don't bring that along. If you do the dressing, do the dressing. If your thing is the potato salad, stick to the potato salad. If you can't cook, but you make a mean brownie, we're putting you on brownie detail. Anything else will not be eaten. And that's the way we operate. So we are not very adventurous when it comes to those types of things. Okay. But I do want to talk about this. When we think about the idea, because, we got two white guys and a Black guy here talking about race in America, and we're having a little bit of fun with this. But when we talk about the idea of allyship, when we were going through, we saw the 60s, the 50s, 60s, there was a strong allyship of many white Americans that stood in solidarity with the efforts of Dr. King. What does that mean to you? What is allyship? What does it mean to you now in today's present time? What does it look like?
Well, to me, it would look the same, which was there are different groups that have a common goal, come together and try to work as one as best as possible. Because the more people that can work together as one, it's a lot stronger if they're all working together than working individually towards a semi-common cause. And I think one of the issues today is very few people are willing to do that because we've become so rigid in our beliefs. And if you don't believe exactly on every issue what I believe, that somehow you're wrong or you're a bad person or I can't accept that.
Okay.
I don't like the idea of allyship as a concept.
Okay.
Because it automatically puts you into a silo. It puts you under the label of, oh, you're part of this other group, but you're one of those that helps us.
Okay.
It's not just letting individuals be individuals and supporting what causes they want. It is, oh, you're a white person who is helping Black people, or oh, you're a straight person who is showing allyship with the LGBTQ community. It assumes labels,
Okay.
and I don't like that.
I think that's fair. I think that is a very young person perspective. And I hear more young people, more youthful people having a perspective very close to what you're saying. Mark, would you agree that this current generation, this younger generation, is very different in how they see others or how they see differences? They don't see differences as much for the most part.
Yeah, well, I think every younger generation is somehow different than the previous generation. That's just kind of how it always works. What I would challenge Jonathan to think about is to get something accomplished, you can't have a bunch of individuals working as individuals. And so, ultimately to get something big accomplished, you have to have people working, and maybe you don't like the word allies, but they need to be working in a united front to get something accomplished.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If a white person and a black person work in an organization that advances civil rights for black people, that white person is an ally. They're not a person working for a goal. They're a white ally. I don't like that.
Okay.
Okay. I don't.
This sounds like I don't like white privilege. So
yeah, well, kind of it kind of is. It
kind of is. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Working towards a goal with other people who agree with that.
Yeah.
Don't otherize me within this group that I'm trying to help.
Yeah. I get it.
Don't otherize me trying to help the otherized.
Yeah.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. Mark, I think that's funny because you and I have something in common. We both don't like white supremacy. Or no, white privilege. We both don't like privilege. But so as we look at this, and all of us are people of faith, right? And I hate that I'm bringing this up right now. Does our faith, or should our faith help us to love, to support, and to move beyond our race?
For sure. It should, in theory. Whether it does or not depends on the person, I think.
It's the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
Who is my neighbor is what the teacher of the law asks Jesus. And he tells this story about a Jewish man who's robbed, beat up, and left on the side of the road. And first, I think it's a lawyer that goes by, and then a priest that goes by, but then it's a Samaritan that comes and actually helps him. And Jesus flips it on its head and he says, who was the better neighbor? It's not that we're called to help our neighbor. It's that we're called to be a neighbor, and that crosses all boundaries, all lines. It's a Samaritan helping a Jew in that example, in that parable that Jesus gives.
How do we become a better neighbor?
Yeah. He doesn't ask whose neighbor was helped. He asks who was the better neighbor.
So when we look at this, and we apply what we all are saying we believe, because I believe that your racial identity is I think it's important for your family. It's important for understanding who you are, where you come from a historical perspective. But I also believe that faith should transcend race and ethnicity. I think that when we look at the Bible, the Word of God also shows us those depictions. We see the battle, right? Some people want to hold on to their ethnic or their racial makeup, and they're being challenged beyond that. Understanding that and us agreeing on that principle, why are we seeing something that looks and feels so different than that in America right now?
Well, maybe say a little more about what I'm assuming. I think I know what you're saying or asking, but expound a little bit more with what the question is really.
Well, we've had conversations about race, and we have, differences in what we may believe certain things. But at the end of the day, I think, and I've seen you all really walk through the door that your faith outweighs how you may feel about racial issues. At least I see it in terms of our interaction.
Yeah.
But on the national scene right now in our nation, we're seeing where race and faith are being merged in a really weird way. That makes it confusing for someone who may actually want to be a part of the faith. So my thing is, how do we get this weird complexity where race now has an equal importance to our faith in believing.
That's interesting because I think this kind of goes back, but in a different way, to what we were talking about earlier, where it is similar issues faced by Black communities, minority communities, and rural white communities. We have we're siloed in our faiths. We've talked about this kind of the division in the churches.
Sundays being the most segregated place in the country. Yeah.
But we say that we're all facing the same things and we all are believing similar things. But when it's actually acted out, it's different. But when it comes to people prioritizing race and faith, I would say that is a false idol. It's idolatry in a way for a lot of
races.
Okay. It's idolatry in a lot of ways. It is a degradation of faith values and an elevation of race as, I don't want to say an identity, but as a core piece of who you are.
Yeah.
I also think this administration has done a good job of politicizing and intertwining those issues personally. Jonathan shaking his head, he may disagree, but
major media has been doing it for well over a decade.
Been doing what exactly, Jonathan?
Been politicizing and religiousifying race.
Okay. I mean, how?
That's the other way. I think the administration is using religion and trying to touch hot points in certain sectors of religious communities to its political advantage. When, again, I shouldn't do this as a good Christian, but I don't believe Donald Trump believes much in the Bible. I don't think he reads the Bible, but he's using the Bible as a toy and a tool, putting out his own Bible, for God's sakes. He's going to make money off the Bible. And so I think he's done it the other way, Jonathan, which is he's trying to use religion to enable and embolden his political power when I don't think he believes most of what he's supporting.
I would agree with that. I think that kind of the power dynamic has just shifted, and it's been the other way for years in the way that race and religion are being hand in hand, where for years and years, race and religion were intertwined in well, you're a religious person, you should be doing more. You're of this faith, so you should feel bad about X, Y, and Z because of maybe the history of that church or what that church is commonly associated with. Because of that, and it is this blending, and now it's being Trump. I kind of agree with you that he recently switched from Presbyterian, I think, to non-denominational. Not that there's anything too wrong with that,
really?
But he plays around with it in a way that I don't think he places a whole lot of stock in what he's saying. But it's going the other way. It's going, you believe these things, so you should agree with me. And it's going the other way.
I just never, to be honest with you, never felt my religion or my faith was questioned before. So I hear what you're saying. I just never felt that, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I think that's an interesting place for us to be. And it's crazy how quickly time goes by. But in the president's own words, he's never read the book. He doesn't read the book.
Doesn't need to.
So he does good things and hopes that those good things, his kind works, will get him into the pearly gates, as he said it. I want to thank you guys for continually tuning in to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. And to all of those of you who are out there watching us in social media land, we want you to like, click, tag, and share this conversations with other friends. And as always, don't be afraid to have a courageous conversation. God bless you all. Grace and peace.